Hey readers, welcome back to Reading Realm. Today I'm going to review a book that's been on my list of books that I needed to review since the beginning of the year. It was one of the ones that I had already finished, but that I have not gotten around to reviewing yet. And it's one that I really, really love for nostalgic reasons and also because Studio Ghibli is amazing. So today's review is the book version of The Secret World of Arrietty. As I mentioned when I talked about how this was one of the ones on my list to be reviewed, this book is basically the comic book version of the anime movie based on The Borrowers, which is a Western novel. So it's kind of got a lot of back and forth, like book, movie, book. But this one, it's basically it's not really a comic book, but it's got pictures from the movie and then the text that goes with it. I will say that these are the words from the translated English dubbed version. And so if you're familiar with the subtitled version, the words are not going to be exactly the same, but the story is still the same. Also, it says here, based on The Borrowers by Mary Norton, which is actually a book that my mom grew up with, and she read me when I was younger, so that's kind of cool. And this is actually one of I think the only Studio Ghibli film I saw in theaters when it first came out. So that is exciting. Hi, Cosmos is here. He has been having fun running around outside, because it's really nice weather today for him to run around outside. But, yeah, this book, if you are unfamiliar with Studio Ghibli, first of all, go watch all their movies. They're all amazing. But this is so fun having it in a book format because the artwork in Studio Ghibli is really, really amazing. And as you're watching the films, it's really apparent how amazing all of the art is. I mean, you can just see from this. But having it as a book, you can really take the time to just completely look at all of the pictures for as long as you want to. The landscapes, it's just so amazing. Look at the light coming through the tree, like, it's so beautiful. All of Studio Ghibli, it's just amazing. I have some of the, like, coffee table books about the art of various Studio Ghibli films, and all of them are so good. I could look at this for hours. But also, I feel like this is a good book. I feel like it's kind of, this book is targeted more for children, just the way that it's formatted and, like, the size of the text and stuff. It's good for kids to read. It's hard to really, like, talk about the plot too much in this review, just because I feel like this is such a well-known movie. The Borrowers is well-known. I don't know if it's actually that well-known in, like, my generation, but it was a really popular children's book when, like, my mom was growing up and she read it to me. But essentially, I'll try to give a brief summary of the plot of this, because The Borrowers is part of a larger series and a larger plot. And this does have some changes, but it's inspired by the original novel, but I'm going to talk about this one. Essentially, Arrietty is a borrower, which is a human like thing, but they're about this tall. And she and her family live underneath the floorboards of this house. And I'm trying to find a good picture that shows the scale of how big she is. There's a lot of good ones, but I don't know how well they'll look on the screen. But like, she's just trying to exist. This is a sugar cube, so that's for scale. She's putting that in her little bag. But they try to exist basically by not being seen, by borrowing only what a human won't miss. For example, they'll take like a tissue or one sugar cube or just little things that won't really be missed. They'll get stuff from the garden and bring it into their little house under the floor, and there is a boy who ends up seeing her, and he wants to help her, but then the housekeeper wants to find them and prove they're real and exterminate them, which obviously is not the ideal situation. But it's such an interesting story about how they live and how like the boy, he really wants to help her, and he gets to know her, and he's preparing to have heart surgery because he's sick, and so he's gone out to this, I believe it was his family's house, like fancy house, and his aunt is taking care of him so that he can have a place like really peaceful and away from everything before his surgery. And it's such a fascinating story because they befriend each other, and he does end up helping them, even though they also do end up getting discovered, which doesn't really go well for them. But it's such a cute friendship, and I think that that's one of the things that I really enjoy about Studio Ghibli as a whole, is that the friendships in it are so good, even though some of those friendships debatably could be romantic. In this situation, it's friendship. They really they're really interested about the way each other lives. They're interested in sort of learning about each other in general, and it's just really, really sweet. And this book in particular, because obviously it is a movie that then became this book, it is such an interesting way to interpret this media, because I feel like there's a lot of times where it's like book to movie or movie back to book. This is like direct transcript of the English dub version, as far as I could tell. I think it's like word for word, but I feel like that makes this book really good if you have a younger person who's trying to practice reading. They can read along with the movie if they want to. I know also sometimes people with dyslexia, that can help if you read something while you're also hearing it. I personally don't have dyslexia, but I've heard that from some people that I know who are dyslexic, so and also, like I said, you can just sit and watch the pictures, look at the pictures for as long as you want, because the movie doesn't move away from them, because it's a book. Which I definitely spent way more time looking at the pictures in this when I was reading it, rather than reading the words. Like, I did read the words, but then I would be like, I never noticed this detail in the movie, because it changed away from that frame before I could look at it for, like, 2 minutes straight. And the artwork is just amazing, as always, with Studio Ghibli. I love Studio Ghibli. And I do feel like this is pretty loyal to the original borrowers, if I remember the borrowers correctly. I feel like this is pretty accurate to the first book. I don't remember how many books are in that series, but I know it is a series. Which is different. Studio Ghibli also did a movie version of Tales of Earthsea, which is one of my mom's favorite authors wrote that, and my mom loves that series. But that, they kind of made their own stories within the Earthsea world, so it doesn't really follow a specific book in that universe. This one, it does pretty well follow the plot of the borrowers, so, I have not fully read the Earthsea series, so I can't really say anything about that, and that's not what this review is. But I really, really, really enjoyed this book. It is kind of like a younger book or younger targeted book than some of the ones that I've reviewed recently. But also, I make the argument that Studio Ghibli doesn't have an age. It kind of is for everyone. There are certain movies that are definitely targeted younger. Ponyo is one of them. And there are definitely ones that are targeted older, like Princess Mononoke is kind of gory and violent compared to some of the others. But also, The Wind Rises is devastating. I don't know. That one's probably not as much for kids either, but in a different way than Princess Mononoke. The Wind Rises is very good, but you have to be emotionally prepared. Also, I can't remember exactly, it's not officially Studio Ghibli. I think it was before the studio was founded or called that or something, but Grave of the Fireflies, amazing, but will emotionally destroy you for a month, because it is really, really, really well done, but it is about radiation sickness following World War II, and it's hard to watch. It's so good, but it will emotionally destroy you. That said, Studio Ghibli, I do feel like, is mostly for everyone. Like, I feel like Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, they all sort of fall into a spectrum of, like, Totoro is maybe, like, for a little bit younger than Spirited Away, but people of any age can enjoy them. I love them. My parents love them when they saw them as adults. My sister and I loved them when we were a lot younger. They're just really, really good films. And this one I feel like would probably fall sort of younger in that spectrum, but not the youngest. She's 14 for age scale. So I do feel like this is a book that the way that it's written, like the font size and everything, it might be designed for slightly younger readers for this book, but the story is something that everyone can enjoy. The art is something that everyone can enjoy. And if a person who's older and can read long chapter books reads this and likes it, go read The Borrowers, because that is one where I feel like it would be harder for a kid to just pick that up and read it. It's more of like a parent reads it to the kid kind of book, because it is a chapter book, and there, I think, are a few illustrations here and there, but it is mostly words. But this book is amazing. I highly recommend it to anyone, regardless of age. The story is really sweet. The art, like I've said, is incredible. And just, if you like this movie, you will like the book, because then you can go look at it, you can read it. Very, very fun. And let me know if you have read this book, if you read The Borrowers, if you like this movie. Let me know. Let me know what you're currently reading. And if you haven't, please subscribe. It would really help me out. And keep reading. Bye!